Hello, I'm Gary Briggs of Bloodline Bowfishing, and in this video we're going to be talking lumens and lux. Quite frankly, this is going to be me rambling on for about 6 or 7 minutes about lumens and lux and how they pertain to bowfishing. So I was talking with Caleb over at Sea Light, and he's been getting a lot of questions about lumens versus lux. Lumens is the rating the manufacturer gives, and I'm testing lux. So what is a lumen? Lumens, when they give you a number, in this case, the high pressure sodium light, 15,000 lumens is the total amount of light that is coming out of the housing continuously. Lux is a luminance. Lux is the measurement of how much light is being reflected off of something. So in this case, we're trying to shoot fish. So we're reflecting the light off the fish, which allows us to see them, and we shoot them. It's pretty straightforward. So I was on the podcast and they asked me, how come you're not testing lumens? I didn't have a good answer. I just told them, well, I kind of copied what Garrett had done, and that's the truth. He had already kind of set something up, and I piggybacked off of that. And I didn't know how to test lumens, so I had to look it up. So how you test lumens is they make a sphere, and they put the light in the sphere, so they trap all of the light that the light is emitting. They diffuse the light, and then they take a reading, and that will give them the amount of lumens that the light is emitting. I cannot test lumens because I cannot trap all the light. There is a way to convert lux to lumens, but I looked into it and I would have a hard time doing it accurately to make sure that I could assign a value of lumens. I don't think it would be consistent for me to try and test that way, so I'm going to continue to test lux. So lux is how much illuminance we have. So the point that Caleb is trying to bring up, and it's a fair one, is that that test may not necessarily be complete, and there is a bigger story to tell with regards to bow fishing lights. So his point was, this is your traditional bow fishing light, the single chip, the quintessential bow fishing light, the standard, if you will. It has a chip, and that chip emits light in a flood pattern. It just goes all over the place forward in a wave. This light here, these were popular a few years back. They make them in 27 watt and 48 watt. They were real cheap on eBay, and myself and a lot of other guys tried these. They claim this is a flood. This one here was 60 degrees. They also sell one that looks identical, and it was a 30-degree flood. I bought both. I lit up that corral behind me, and I can't tell the difference between the two. I think it's purely marketing BS and that they're identical lights. This light here is much more focused, and that becomes a problem for bow fishermen because we need our lights to overlap. So if I was to test this light, which is one of the best lights you can get, it is going to give me a reading of X. If I was to test this light with the same test, it's going to blow this light and every other light on the table out of the water because the light it is emitting is being focused. And when you take that measurement, it is deceiving. We want floodlights for bow fishing, not spotlights. Now conversely, if I was to turn this light at a 45-degree angle to my lux meter and also turn this light at a 45-degree angle, the Sea Light or any other light you see up here will blow it out of the water because, again, this is a floodlight. The light is being dispersed in a flood pattern, and this is a spotlight. The light is being focused more to a point. So I think it'll be an interesting test if we try something different and maybe add this going forward. What you see here is a representation of 5 different lights that are currently being used in bow fishing. You got people out there rigging up COBs. I've made a couple videos on the Viewgram. I know a handful of guys are running this. We have the traditional style Sea Light, the standard, and we also have the old school high pressure sodium. And what I'll do is I'll do a test straight ahead and then at 45-degree angle. And this will give us a better sense of the spread of light. Because like I said, we want a flood pattern and we want overlap so that we get no dark spots on the water. And I think choosing these is not an accident. This is what I'm telling you is a spot. So this is the traditional light. We're all familiar with this one. And then we've got these new lights like this COB. It's got this long chip on board LED, I think is what COB, and it essentially works the same way. All the light is going to be shooting this way. We've got the Viewgram, which is a multi-chip light and this weird reflector lens thing, and we've got the high pressure sodium. So I feel pretty confident that these are going to have good spread, but I don't know about these. So maybe these new style lights that people run, maybe it requires more overlap. But that's the purpose of the test, is we'll be able to see how much fall off there is at a 45-degree angle, if any. I will then, more than likely, redo every light on the board that I still have in my possession. We'll do another test straight ahead, 90 degrees, and then another test at 45 degrees. And that'll give us, like I said, a better sense of spread, a better sense of how much light is actually going to be hitting the water. And since we're at it, let's talk about the difference between the high pressure sodium, antiquated, old school, dying out. There's some guys still using them. That's why I'm going to test them, because it's still relevant. And the LED. And I've gotten questions before, how is it possible that the 50-watt light is putting out as much light as the 150-watt high pressure sodium in terms of lux, what I'm actually able to read? It's very easy to explain. So when you have an LED, it's a chip that emits light emitting diode. All of the light is going to be going basically in the direction we want it to go, ahead of us, whatever, to the side of us, but we have some aim to it. Whereas the high pressure sodium, it uses a bulb, and the bulb is the problem. So you look inside there, you got a bulb. Light comes out of the bulb at all different angles, all around it, every which way. It's just shooting out of there, right? And so what they do is, if we're looking at the side elevations, you got your bulb in the middle, and then they have a reflector in the back that kind of wraps around the bulb in an effort to get all of that light out. And how this becomes problematic, and a lot of this is my own experience fishing over these lights, is you get into like a canyon or something and you are lighting up everything. I mean, you could see everything around you. You could see the water, you could see 40, 50, 60 feet up the hillside. Man, if there's deer up there grazing, you could totally see them. And this is because of the bulb in combination with the reflector. So if we're drawing arrows off the bulb, remember the light is coming out at all different angles. Basically from here, and then if we're looking, you know, like that bottom third of the bulb, all that light is shooting out towards the water if we have it perpendicular to the water. But this third back here is coming out in this direction. It's hitting the reflector, and if we're lucky, shooting out to the water. Now this quarter over here that's kind of above the circumference, that's all going to atmosphere. And the stuff on the bottom, this bottom quarter, is also hitting the reflector and more than likely shooting out towards the atmosphere. So not all of the light is actually hitting the water. So who gives a shit if it has 15,000 lumens if it's not lighting up fish? It's irrelevant how bright it is. It's only relevant how much light is actually hitting the water. So let's give, I don't even think it's 50%, but let's be conservative. Let's say 50% of the light is actually hitting the water. So of the 15,000 lumens, 7,500 may be hitting the water. It might actually be less. I don't actually know. I don't even know how I would test it. I just know that that's the way it is. This is why LEDs are going to be the future. They're far superior. We'll be able to do all sorts of different things with LEDs going forward. And in this case, all of the light is generally going in the direction that we want it to go. So on my boat, I don't put them square to the world. I actually tilt them down a little bit. So I try and get as much light into the water as possible, because that's what's important. I'm out there to light up fish, not light up houseboats and shit. So if you guys will bear with me, I'll get started on these tests. We'll start doing them again, perpendicular, 45-degree angle. We'll see what the differences are. I have no idea what to expect from any of these lights. This is completely new territory for me, but it's going to take some time, so bear with me. Testing lights is not a quick endeavor. So with all that being said, let's go on over to Bloodline Bowfishing TV, join up there. Let's join the BA, the Protect the Rights as Bow Fishermen, and as always, wear those personal flotation devices, guys. Thanks.